Hey there, and welcome to our online class, Print 362, or sorry, 262, Print Materials, and this is one of probably the third last presentation class that we're gonna have. I will be doing this live, but I wanted to make sure that I got it recorded before, just in case something goes sideways with the online classroom. So we are in print materials. We are looking at the rest of the semester. So today we're going to be looking at the price book, a little bit of review on that, and then we're going to look at the section called cut and digital paper. Next week we'll review impositions and probably stock requirements as well. And then we'll do a final prep for the final exam, which it's not an exam, it's an assignment, and it will be just like the one we did where you're taking the customer request. You are imposing the press sheet, you're figuring out how many press sheets you can get out of the parent sheet, and how much the parent sheets will cost, and or how much the shipping will be, final shipping weight will be, and how much final shipping cost will be. So that'll be over the next 3 weeks, I guess, and then we'll be done. So the Spicer's Price Book, there are a number of paper suppliers within the city of Calgary and the world. Spicer's is probably the bigger one in the city of Calgary. That said, all the price books read really similarly. So once you know how to maneuver through the price book, know the important information, know how to navigate through it, you'll be able to deal with anybody, white papers and other paper suppliers. Okay. Earlier in the semester, we were looking at the different components within the price book. So we know where we're going to find the characteristics, where the paper is stored. We are going to see the manufacturer, and then of course we've got things like the M weight, the weight of 1,000 sheets. We've got the price per 1,000. We know that there's two different price columns. If you buy a certain quantity, you get a price break per 1,000. If you buy less than that, you pay a premium. Again, when you work in industry, there's quite often deals made between management and sales to say that you're going to get certain discounts on certain products because you're going to use a certain amount over the year. But for the most part, what we need to be able to do is navigate through the price book, not just for work, but also for next semester when you are taking estimating with Brian. So the section that we were in before, full size sheets, or the parent sheets were considered what we call full size. The next section is where we can find cut and digital papers. Okay, so these papers typically come in sheet sizes. They're used mostly in digital copy systems. It's not saying you can't run them through a printing press. You can. But they come cut sheets specifically meant to work on the iGen and Ricoh equipment, all the digital copier equipment that's available out there. So you can see here there's a lot of similarities. Verso is the paper manufacturer. Futura dull cover, Forestry Stewardship Council certified. So we could see here some of the characteristics. So it's HP Indigo certified, which means that it's got certain coatings on it, again, that absolutely run better through the digital equipment. When we first started all this, there was probably only 4 or 5 different papers that were sort of treated properly to run through this digital equipment. Acid-free, 96 brightness, so some very similar characteristics that we discussed earlier. You can see that this paper comes also in different thicknesses. Again, don't pay any attention to this column with the palette. We've got packages, and then we've got cartons, the same sort of thing. So you can see as the paper gets thicker, we've got 2,000 sheets of 80 pound in a carton, but only 400 sheets in a carton when we get it into the really thick paper. You'll see these M weights. There are some that will be coming up that you'll see that do have decimal points. And again, I know I've said in the past that the parent sheets will never have a decimal point. They'll always round up. But you can see here, so what you know from this number right here is that 1,000 sheets of Futura dull cover, 80 pound, weighs 29 pounds. Okay. What you know for a fact is that 1,000 sheets of 100 pound Futura dull cover weighs 83 pounds. Okay. So a very similar breakdown. 2,000 sheets in a carton, 250 sheets in a package. If you buy a package, that's the price per thousand. If you buy a carton or more, $89.93. Okay, per thousand. Never per carton. Price per thousand. Price per thousand. Price per thousand. So like I mentioned, typically these materials, these cut and digital papers are meant specifically to run on digital equipment. Sorry about some of the spelling mistakes and things. I was at this for a long time yesterday. Not just this, but many other things. Digital equipment typically is used for the benefits of this equipment is that first they have a lot of inline finishing. So we've got folding devices right built into the systems, stapling, hole punching, other finishing types of things. So typically they're multi-page documents. No, they don't coil bind, but they will insert the covers and things like that are needed to create the multi-page document. Okay, that's typically what they need them for. So basically, the real simple formula is how many sheets of paper are in the original document, how many copies of that document do you need to make, and how do you order, the paper for there. So, for example, you've got a 12-page document, you want 100 copies of the document, it's 1,200 sheets. Couple things to note here. Think of pages as numbered. That's the way I do it. That's the way industry does it. So you could have a 12-page document that's double-sided, so it's only 6 sheets of paper. You've got to be mindful that we can put multiple pages on documents, especially when they're going to be saddle-stitched, folded and stapled, in that we can put 4 pages on 1 sheet. Okay, so we've got 4 pages, 1 sheet, 2 impressions. I know that's a little bit complicated, but if you think about it, just slow down and think of it logically. A page is a page, a sheet is a sheet. Sometimes we print on one side of that page, sometimes we print on sometimes we print on one side of that sheet, sometimes we print on both sides of that sheet. I would suggest that most multi-page documents are going to be printed double-sided. The thing you want to be conscientious of is that when we run these types of equipment, we are typically paying the manufacturer in lieu of a service charge every time we make what we call meter click. Okay, so if you run one piece of paper through the machine and print it on both sides, that's 2 meter clicks. Okay, so it's just really important to be mindful of that when your client calls you and says, I need a price, please, on a 24-page document. I'm going to have it coil bound, or I'm going to have it saddle stitched. Its finished size is 8.5 by 11. All of those things that will become very familiar with you over the next year. It's just important to be mindful of that. So here's some accent opaque smooth. Again, we can see that it's got the same sort of characteristics as before. So the client has chosen Accent Opaque Smooth Text 60 pound to print their training manual on. I haven't asked the client here what size it is, so let's make sure that we do that. So the training manuals are 44 8.5 by 11 single-sided pages. They need 200 copies, and they'll be coil bound. So right now what we need to do is figure out just the paper, okay? In 257 we were supposed to be moving into the bindery and finishing and the costs of running and things like that. I'm going to defer that to next semester, and we're going to finish things there. But I'll talk about 257 in another environment. All right, so how many sheets of paper do you need? Do you need more than one package? Will you be getting the carton price break? So price per thousand will go down. And how much will the paper cost? So right now, I encourage you to pause the video and see if you can come up with these answers right here. How many sheets? Yes, no, whatever, and go through there. Okay, so pause the video and try and figure those out. Okay, so hopefully you got all these answers right. So the training manuals are 44 8.5 by 11 single-sided pages. They need 200 copies, coil bound. So how many sheets of paper do you need? 44 single-sided sheets times 200 copies equals 8,800 sheets of Accent Opaque Smooth Text 60 pound. Do you need more than one package? Obviously. Will you be getting the carton price break? You betcha. Okay. How much will the paper cost? You'll need to purchase 2 cartons. The price for 2 cartons will be $305.60. I should have mentioned that earlier. Unlike being able to get the price break happening, even if we needed a carton plus a few sheets of paper with the parent size, we were given the carton price for the entire purchase. Here we have to purchase the entire carton. What I'm suggesting is also, if you go to an organization where you are giving prices, there's a very good chance that what they will do is give you a price sheet that says if the person's getting 1,000 copies or less, they pay 6 cents for a sheet, and that will include the paper and the impression. Okay. Digital is priced out quite differently than offset. Okay, so but the fact is that we need you to be able to maneuver through the price book and know the differences in between buying cut sheets and full-size sheets. Okay, so you have to buy 2 cartons. Or you have to buy a full carton. So in this case, we needed 8,800. I believe there's 5,000 in a carton, and therefore, let's go back and have just a quick look at that. 8.5 by 11, 60 pound, 5,000 in a carton. So we need to buy 2 cartons. Okay. Okay, so we've got another quick problem. So this time the client has chosen Accent Opaque Smooth Text 70 pound to print their training manual on. The training manuals are 50 8.5 by 11 double-sided pages. Okay. They need 300 copies coil bound. How many sheets of paper do they need? Do you need more than one package? Will you be getting the carton price break? And how much will the paper cost? So again, I encourage you to pause, try and calculate that one out. Okay, so 50 double-sided pages means 25 sheets of paper. Page 1, page 2. Okay, and so on. This also includes, by the way, if you have a right start, in other words, you have a blank chapter finish or topic finish, and then that last page is blank on the left-hand side, and then your start there. You're running the whole job as if